Discover 10 incredible 1v1 fights in medieval history that will change your view forever. Ethan stood in front of a classroom filled with faces glued to glowing screens, each student more entranced by their digital warriors than the knights and heroes of ancient lore. At just 28, he felt like a lone knight in battle against a realm of indifference. His passion for history, the excitement of one-on-one medieval duels traversing time and emotion, felt lost in a culture captivated by virtual exploits. He clenched his fists, imagining the clang of swords and the rattle of armor, yearning for his students to feel that thrill, to realize that every epic clash was a story of resilience and honor. As summer whispered its goodbye in their small Midwestern town, Ethan's heart battled the encroaching despair of budget cuts threatening to dismantle his beloved history program. He needed a strategy, a way to bridge the past with the present. So, he crafted a plan. What if he could tell the stories behind 10 incredible skirmishes that not only showcased valor but reflected struggles they all faced? Every tale wouldn't just be a rich narrative, it would reveal the heart of the human condition, something they could connect to, something that sprang from the soil of their community. The day his grandfather's war stories surfaced was a turning point. The man had trudged through World War II, enduring ridicule yet emerging with a spirit forged in hardship. He had nothing and fought for everything. As Ethan listened, tears prickled his eyes. He saw his grandfather battling through society's scorn and prejudice, and something ignited inside him. You know, he shared with his students one rainy afternoon, this is not just history, this is legacy. This is what it means to overcome. The air thickened with intense silence. Ethan caught sight of their astonished faces, realizing he held the spark he sought, but then, an unexpected storm brewed outside the classroom walls. A local dealership planned to undercut the mom-and-pop shops during the annual fair, and tension split the town wide open. Ethan watched as pillars of his community began to tremble like leaves in the wind. Families once united in shared struggle now stood divided, a haunting reminder of the very conflicts he taught about. Ethan, fueled by his grandfather's resilient spirit, took a leap of faith. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a rapidly beating heart, he prepared to address the community at the fair. As he gripped the podium, the stake felt higher than any duel. A battle for honor, justice, and the future of their town lay before him. He drew from every exhilarating tale of combat, courage, and resilience, channeling the fiery essence of his grandfather's unwavering resolve. Amidst the bustling crowd, murmurs fluttered like whispering leaves. Would they hear him? Would they fight? With a glance across the faces, some hopeful, others skeptical, he was left grappling with an age-old question that hung in the air like an unspoken prayer: can virtue and merit triumph over the circumstances of one's birth? As he opened his mouth to speak, Ethan could only wonder if together, they would forge a new story, a story their town so desperately needed. Ethan took a deep breath, letting the energy of the crowd wash over him. Every heartbeat seemed to pulse with untold stories, experiences woven together by a thread of shared determination. He glanced down at his notes but quickly discarded them. This wasn't just about facts and dates, it was about connecting. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice steady but filled with urgency, today, we stand on the brink of something incredible. We're not just facing the challenge of competition, this is a fight for our voices, our lives. Just like the knights of old, battling not just for their glory but for their honor and their homes. The audience shifted, some eyes lighting up with recognition at the parallels he was drawing. A nervous energy thrummed in the air, blending excitement and trepidation. Let us think about those legendary duels, he continued, his passion boiling over. Each fight held a deeper meaning. They were against overwhelming odds but driven by love for community and family, a theme we all understand, don't we? A woman in the front row nodded, and a few murmurs of agreement blossomed among the crowd. Encouraged, Ethan pressed on, recalling an epic clash, two legendary warriors who fought under the banner of conflicting kingdoms, each one representing their kin and values. And in the end, only one warrior emerged victorious, but both transformed through their struggles. The connection was building, the faces in the crowd shifting from wary to engaged. Ethan could see them beginning to imagine themselves in those stories of valor, resilience, and sacrifice. He let the silence linger for a moment, letting the weight of the history settle around them. Now, about that car dealership threatening our beloved shops, Ethan shifted gears, bringing the present to the forefront. These businesses aren't just buildings, they're the soul of our community. Each mom-and-pop shop, a story of dreams, work, and love. Like our knights, we must unite to protect what is ours. Excitement sparked in the air. Ethan felt the crowd's pulse quicken, a palpable wave of emotion coursing through him. If we stand together, we can rewrite the narrative, create a legacy that lasts, just like those heroic tales from the past. A cheer erupted from the crowd, a collective roar of defiance and hope. Faces lit up, and with each cheer, Ethan's confidence blossomed. He had ignited something, a sense of camaraderie and strength that he hoped could turn the tide, but as the adrenaline surged, so did his sense of urgency. He needed to channel this newfound energy into real action. Let us come together as a community. Let us support the shops that have supported us. We need to fight for our identity, just like those knights fought for theirs. The crowd erupted again, voices rising in a collective wave of determination. People stood, clapping and cheering. It was beautiful, a chorus of hope echoing against the backdrop of their small-town struggles, yet amidst the excitement, a shadow loomed over Ethan. Could this moment of unity be enough? Would they truly come together to fight against the changes threatening their way of life, or would the tides of indifference pull them apart again? As he stepped back from the podium, receiving pats on the back and encouragement from familiar faces, Ethan didn't know if they'd win the battle. But he felt something profound, a sense of belonging and purpose that sparked a flame in his heart. The fight was just beginning, and the next chapter of their story awaited. What challenges would they face? Would the gladiators of today show up for their community? Only time would tell. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the community center as Ethan stepped away from the podium. Surrounded by excited chatter, he caught snippets of conversations swirling around him. Did you hear what he said about the shops? And we have to do something. They echoed, filling the space with a palpable sense of urgency, yet, beneath that excitement, doubt whispered in the corners of Ethan's mind. He leaned against the wall, watching the people he cared about rally together. Did they really understand what they were up against? This was more than just preserving stores, it was about defending their very way of life. Stacy, his childhood friend, approached with a determined glimmer in her eyes. Ethan, we need to plan a meeting, start a coalition or something. We can't just let this slide. Her conviction spurred something within him. You're right. I don't want to just talk. I want us to take action. They quickly gathered a core group, most of whom grew up together in the town. As they huddled around a table cluttered with papers and coffee cups, Ethan felt an electric connection in the air. It was like a spark had ignited their shared memories, the playgrounds, the late-night bonfires, the small victories that shaped their lives. Okay, let us get real about what we want to do. This dealership can't just come in and wipe everything out. We have to show them we mean business, Ethan declared, his heart racing with excitement, yet heavy with the weight of the challenge ahead. Jessica, a lively spirit with big ideas, spoke up. What if we organized a community event? A fair or something? Everyone will turn up for fun, and we can sneak in information about the shops and how to help. Nods of agreement spread around the table, enthusiasm fueling the momentum. They began brainstorming ideas, throwing out everything from bake sales to town halls. Each suggestion built on the last, laughter and hope infusing the room, yet, Ethan wrestled with a nagging fear. What if it wasn't enough? What if the dealership had too much power, too many resources? He quickly dismissed the thought. This wasn't about power, it was about purpose. As they wrapped up, Stacy leaned across the table, her eyes fierce. Ethan, never doubt our community. We're stronger together. It's like you said earlier, this is our home, and we can't let it go without a fight. Her words bolstered him. He could do this. They could do this. With a mix of anxiety and exhilaration bubbling within him, he rose to face his friends. All right, let us do this. We meet again tomorrow, and we'll hit the ground running. They all cheered, and as laughter echoed in the room, Ethan caught sight of the sun setting through the window. The vibrant colors reminded him that even in the most challenging moments, beauty can shine through, but just as the enthusiasm peaked, Ethan's phone buzzed sharply, jarring the moment. He glanced at the screen, the smile fading from his face as he read the unexpected message. We need to talk, about the dealership plans. Urgent. What did that mean? A knot formed in his stomach. He was about to find out just how deep this fight would go. Would they be prepared for what lay ahead? With uncertainty lingering, Ethan knew one thing: the battle had only just begun. Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the message on his phone. The words, "We need to talk," echoed in his mind like a siren. He took a deep breath, trying to regain some calm amidst the chaos of emotions swirling in him. The excitement from the meeting still hummed in his veins, but the urgency of that text pulled him back to reality. Who sent it? What did they know? Stacy noticed his sudden stillness. Everything okay? She asked, concern etched on her face. Yeah, just. I got a message, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. It's about the dealership. The group fell silent, all eyes on him. Ethan felt the weight of their anticipation. They had just begun to feel empowered, and now, uncertainty crept back in like a shadow. Should we take it? Jessica asked cautiously, glancing at the phone in Ethan's hand. Ethan hesitated. They might have information that could help us. His mind raced through the possible scenarios. If they had insider information, that could be a game changer. Yet, what if it was a trap? Stacy reached out, placing a reassuring hand on his arm. You know those folks well, right? They're not just trying to scare us off. They care about this town too. Maybe she was right. With a nod, he tapped the screen to open the message. I'll meet them tomorrow. I think we need this. The others exchanged glances. Just be careful, Jessica cautioned, her voice barely above a whisper. As Ethan prepared to leave the center, he felt a mix of fear and determination. There was a sense of unity growing among his friends, and he didn't want to shatter that by making a wrong call. The next day dawned gray and overcast. A storm threatened on the horizon, mirroring Ethan's unease. He arrived early at the designated cafe, a quaint spot tucked away from the bustle of town, hoping for a moment of clarity. As he entered, he spotted Kyle, an old classmate and one of the dealership's representatives, sitting in a corner booth. His gaze softened, recalling the days when they shared secrets and dreams. But things were different now. Ethan, Kyle greeted, offering a calm smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Thanks for meeting me. Sure, Ethan replied, taking a seat across from him. What's this about? Kyle leaned forward, lowering his voice. I know things are tense right now, but I wanted to assure you there's still a chance for dialogue. We don't have to bulldoze over the heart of this town. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Trust was scarce these days. What do you mean? There are proposals on the table I think you should see, Kyle said, pulling out a folder. But first, you need to understand the bigger picture. As he opened the folder, Ethan felt 100 questions bubbling inside him. Was this really a way to compromise, or merely a tactic to silence opposition? While flipping through the papers, a picture caught his eye, an aerial shot of the dealership sprawling across the land where his favorite park used to be. His throat tightened. You can't just erase what's already here. Kyle sighed, rubbing his temples. I know how it looks, but there are developers involved who want to break ground quickly. That's why I'm reaching out. I think we can find a way to coexist. A part of Ethan wanted to believe him. But the fear still loomed. What if they couldn't? What if everything they cherished vanished without a trace? He closed the folder, fixing Kyle with a determined gaze. You have a lot to explain if you want to earn my trust. This isn't just business for us. Just then, Ethan's phone buzzed again, breaking the tense silence. Glancing at the message, his heart sank even further. They found something else, it read. What had they discovered that could change the course of their fight? Ethan felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. Everything was intertwined now. The stakes had never been higher. He looked back at Kyle, realizing the challenge ahead was greater than he anticipated. Would he be able to forge a path forward, or was this all just the beginning of a more significant battle? The answers loomed, and the urgency pulsed in the air. Ethan felt his breath catch as he stared at the text. Panic flooded his system. What could they have found? He needed answers, and he needed them fast. Excuse me for a second, he said to Kyle, his voice strained with urgency. He stepped outside the cafe, the cool air hitting him like a splash of cold water. He stared at the screen again, feeling a swirl of anxiety knotting in his stomach. Who were they? What had they uncovered this time? He quickly replied, asking for more details, hoping for something, anything, to clarify the situation. As he waited, his mind raced back to his conversation with Kyle. A part of him hoped Kyle's intentions were pure, but trust was a fragile thing. The memories of their shared childhood faded into the background of mounting worries. Would he betray everything they stood for? The phone buzzed again, sending a jolt through him. He glanced at the new message. Meet us. We have evidence. Something you need to see. It was from a contact he had once relied on, someone who seemed to know more than they let on. Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped back inside the cafe. Kyle was still seated, concern etched on his face. Is everything okay? Not really, Ethan admitted, voice low. I just got another message. They say they have evidence about the dealership. I need to meet with them. Kyle's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of worry. Be careful. If they're trying to leverage something, it might not be what you think. I know, Ethan replied, feeling the weight of Kyle's words settle over him. But this might be essential. We can't ignore it. He stood there for a moment, wrestling with the decision. He returned his gaze to Kyle. Do you think we could work together on this? You seem to have resources. Kyle hesitated before nodding. Yeah, I can help. But let's make sure we're prepared. If they have evidence that could jeopardize everything. Ethan cut him off, feeling a spark of determination ignite within him. Then we'll be ready. We've come this far. I'm not backing down now. The cafe began to fill with the midday crowd, laughter and chatter washing over them like a wave. Yet, the atmosphere felt heavy around their small table, consumed with urgency and uncertainty. Let us meet them, Kyle suggested. The sooner we can figure this out, the better. Ethan agreed, setting a time and place for their next rendezvous. As they finalized details, Ethan's mind drifted back to his friends, their shared hopes, and dreams for the town. Could he rally them all in the face of this new challenge? Leaving the cafe, a rush of cold air met him, stirring within an instinctual feeling of fight or flight. He knew stepping into that potential confrontation would be risky. But what was a little risk compared to losing everything? Determined, Ethan texted his friends, calling them to meet. He had no idea what evidence awaited him, but the clock was ticking. They might be on the brink of uncovering something that could either save their cause or crush it entirely. As he headed to the meeting point, a sudden rain burst from the heavens, drenching him instantly. He shook his head, trying to shake the water from his eyes. But maybe the rain was a reset, a cleansing. They were in this together, and they would fight tooth and nail to protect their town. But what if the evidence revealed a truth too dark to confront? The nagging question haunted him. Would confronting this seed of doubt lead them closer to victory or peel back layers of betrayal? He clenched his fists, determination hardening in his chest. As thunder rumbled overhead, the battle was just beginning. And in that moment, Ethan knew he was ready. Whatever awaited them, he'd stand firm. The hardest truths often led to the greatest transformations. But would they emerge whole, or was this the storm before a deeper chaos? Ethan's heart thundered as he approached the meeting spot. The world around him felt surreal, with raindrops cascading in rhythm to his racing thoughts. He still could not shake the fear that curled like a stale smoke deep in his chest. Would he find allies among his friends, or would this be the moment everything began to unravel? He spotted the familiar figures waiting under an awning, shadows blending into one another against the backdrop of city lights. Dina was the first to see him, a determined expression on her face that brought Ethan a flicker of comfort amidst his chaos. "There you are," she called out, her voice breaking through the tension. "What is going on? We've been worried." "I got a message," Ethan started, trying to breathe past the knot of anxiety. "They say they have evidence about the dealership. We need to know what it is." Mike stepped forward, eyebrows raised. "Evidence? What kind?" "Something that could change everything." "We need to be prepared," Ethan replied, noting the way his friends exchanged uneasy glances. "What if it's dangerous?" Megan asked, her voice barely above a whisper. A chill ran through the group. They had fought hard to build a future in their town, and the idea of losing it all felt unbearable. "It's a risk we have to take," Ethan said, grounding himself in conviction. "For the community. For us. We can't let fear hold us back." As if on cue, the downpour intensified, the rain splattering like a drumroll, urging them forward. They huddled under the awning, faces painted with a mix of dread and determination. The clamor of droplets played a chaotic tune, heightening their urgency. "Let us move," Kyle said, determination creeping into his voice as he adjusted his jacket. The others nodded, hearts racing, solidarity binding them tighter. They navigated through the rain-slick streets, a collection of determined souls moving as one. Every step felt heavy with uncertainty, but Ethan couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope igniting within the gloom. Whatever awaited them, they would face it together. When they arrived at the decrepit warehouse specified in the message, the world seemed to pause. The air was thick with tension, and the looming shadows of the building loomed ahead like dark beasts ready to pounce. "Clear heads now," Ethan urged, feeling the weight of his friend's trust alongside his own burdens. He led the group through the creaking door, bracing for what might lie within. Inside, a single bulb flickered overhead, casting long shadows along the walls. The smell of rust and mildew filled the air, mixing with the dampness of their clothes. They scanned the room, searching for a familiar face, a sign of what was to come. "Over here," came a low whisper from a figure in the corner. As they moved closer, Ethan's stomach twisted. This person was someone he once considered a friend, now cloaked in secrecy and mistrust. "You came," the figure said, a smirk playing on their lips. "I thought you might be too afraid. What do you have?" Ethan's voice was sharp, cutting through the thick air. "Evidence that could topple everything you believe in," the figure replied, revealing an envelope thick with documents. Ethan's pulse quickened, fear swirling with a desperate need for answers. What could possibly be inside? Would it scatter his fragile alliance or bind them tighter in brotherhood? The figure handed over the envelope with a flick of their wrist, eyes shimmering with a mix of excitement and malice. "Open it," they dared. Ethan hesitated. The weight of the moment, the unseen consequences, loomed larger than life. He exchanged glances with his friends, sensing their unease. Did they dare peel back the layers? What if they uncovered something that would change the very fabric of their fight? With a deep breath, Ethan knew the next few moments could define everything. Could the truth they uncovered unite them more than ever, or would it shatter their world completely? Ethan's hands trembled as he reached for the envelope. The fluorescent light buzzed like a warning overhead. He could feel Dina's breathing quicken beside him, the tension in her shoulder radiating like a live wire. "You got this," she whispered, her voice laced with warmth, but it somehow felt insufficient. "I hope so," Ethan mumbled, pulling the flap back. The crisp sound echoed in the stillness. He frowned as he peered inside, finding a stack of papers detailing transactions, photographs, and correspondence, all grim reminders of the dark undertones that had plagued their town. That he pulled out a photograph, his heart sinking as he recognized familiar faces, local politicians shaking hands with the dealership owner, smiles plastered across their faces that belied the treachery they concealed. "What the hell?" he muttered, anger swelling within him. "This can't be real," Kyle said, his brow furrowing as he leaned closer. "These people, they've been selling us out." Megan glanced at Ethan, worry etched on her face. "Do we expose this? What happens if we're wrong?" Ethan swallowed hard. They had put everything on the line to protect their community, but this was more than they ever anticipated. Fear clawed at him, a reminder of what failure could cost them. "What if we don't act?" Ethan's voice wavered. "People deserve to know what's happening." "Yeah, but what if it blows back on us? What if they come after us?" Mike interjected, his voice dangerously low, eyes darting around as if expecting shadows to pounce. The figure in the corner, once a friend now turned cold stranger, watched their interactions with amusement, lingering on their hesitation. "You're losing precious time, friends. Do you want the truth or to live in your comfortable little bubble?" Ethan turned to face the figure, the anger boiling within him. "What do you really want? Why are you showing us this?" "I want you to fight. To expose them." The figure leaned forward, a sinister smile playing on their lips. "Or to watch the town burn. It's your choice." That sent a shiver down Ethan's spine. There was more than evidence at stake here, it was a game. The stakes were his community, his friends, and perhaps even his soul. "Let us focus on the plan," Dina interjected sharply, trying to regain control. "We could gather more evidence, make sure we document everything before we approach anyone. But what if we take this straight to the news?" Kyle countered, eyes brightening at the suggestion. "They'd have to act then." Ethan's mind raced. They were all nervous, and the weight of secrecy loomed heavy. What would happen to them if they ventured further? He could almost feel the pounding in his temples matching the rhythm of his racing heart. He started, but the words faltered. In that moment, he felt the weight of everything: fear, rage, hope, and uncertainty all crashing together like waves. A thunderous roar jolted him back to reality, reverberating from somewhere in the depths of the warehouse. The sound of machinery starting up, echoing off the dank walls, sent dread prickling down his spine. "What was that?" Megan gasped. Panic set in as they exchanged worried glances. Ethan's heart dropped. "We need to move. Now." As they scrambled toward the exit, the envelope slipped from his fingers, landing in a pool of water that had gathered beneath the flickering light. The evidence, the revelation, disappeared into the dark abyss beneath their feet just as they dashed out into the cold, relentless rain. What awaited them outside would either be salvation or the beginning of their worst nightmare. Did we just make a choice we can't take back? He wondered, as thunder rumbled ominously above. Would they be able to stand united while the forces against them loomed larger than ever? Would the truth ignite their spirits or pull them under? The rain blurred the streetlights, drowning the world in a soft, gray haze. As they bolted into the night, Ethan felt the panic of the warehouse behind them fade, at least for a moment. The cold water raced down his spine, matching the chill in his gut. Were they too late to do anything? "Where do we go?" Kyle shouted over the wind, his face taut with fear. They were exposed, vulnerable, and their minds still buzzed with what they had just seen. "Let South head to my place," Ethan suggested, trying to project calmness he didn't feel. "It's close, and we can figure this out." Dina nodded, pressing close to his side as they moved, shoulders brushing in a silent assurance. But he could feel her unease, mirrored in the way her palm gripped his arm tightly. They turned the corner, the dim glow of the streetlights illuminating their path just enough to keep moving forward. "We can't just let this go," Megan said as they stumbled into an alley, glancing nervously back toward the looming shadows. Those photos, they could ruin lives. We have to act. What if they come after us? Mike asked, breathing heavy. They might have connections everywhere. This isn't just some neighborhood scandal. The weight of their dilemma felt even heavier now, tethering Ethan Southhart in place. They knew too much. It was no longer just about lying behind the smiles of their supposed leaders, it was about their safety now. If we stay silent, we let them win, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper, filled with an urgency that hung in the air like smoke. It's a choice we're already making. The group came to a small, rusted door that led to a long-abandoned warehouse, a shelter from the pouring rain. Ethan pushed it open, natural rust scraping against the frame, the noise fading into the storm outside. Just inside, the silence swallowed them whole, as if daring them to think about what they had seen. In the dim light filtering through broken windows, they huddled together, faces drawn tight with anxiety. What do we do about the evidence? Dina asked, her breath fogging in the cool air as she leaned against the wall. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, every decision feeling monumental. We have to retrieve it. Whatever it takes. Without it, we're just shouting into the void. The weight of his words pressed down on them, echoing in the stillness. They had gone too far to back down now. His heart raced as he felt the familiar pull towards responsibility. One of us needs to go back. Back? Are you insane? Kyle exclaimed, shaking his head. Risk the same fate twice. We're not risking anything if we get it right, Ethan argued. We divide and conquer. We need someone to go in there and let us know what's really going on. No one else should have to know what we know. We can shield them. Count me in, Dina said, her voice unwavering, surprising Ethan. I'll go with you. If we do this, we do it together. What if they're waiting for us? Mike challenged, fear seeping through his words. Then we'll face it together. There was confidence now, perhaps even hope, intertwining with the fear that thrummed around them. As they stood in that fractured silence, Ethan felt the enormity of their plan, what it could mean for their town, for them. Would they be martyrs or heroes? Thunder rumbled loudly above, as if the universe was shining a spotlight on their decision. So, when do we go? Kyle asked, dread and determination mingling in his tone. First light, Ethan answered firmly. But as he said it, a pang of doubt twisted in his chest. We have to be smart about this. We'll need a distraction, something to throw them off. The group exchanged loaded glances. Could they really do this? Outside, rain continued to smear the night, but inside that warehouse, a quiet resolve slowly enveloped them. They would either emerge victorious or lose everything. Ethan clenched his fists, feeling the fear tighten in his gut like a vice. Would courage be enough, or was this the beginning of their end? The moment of truth loomed ahead. What awaited them at dawn could change everything or tear them apart. The hours dragged slowly as they huddled in the darkness of the warehouse, the rain drumming against the roof like an impatient heartbeat. Each tick of time felt heavy with uncertainty, every shared glance filled with unspoken worries. Dina sat slightly apart from the group, her knees hugged tightly to her chest, eyes flickering towards Ethan like she was seeking reassurance. Do you think they know? She whispered, breaking the tension. Ethan shook his head, though he was not so sure. They're going to figure it out eventually. We have to act before they do. His voice was firm, but doubt crept in from the corners of his mind. He ran a hand through his damp hair, the cold water making it cling to his forehead. Kyle, pacing like a caged animal, paused. What makes us think we can even pull this off? We're just kids. We have no idea what we're walking into. What choice do we have? Megan replied, anger flaring in her tone. We can't stand by and let those monsters keep doing this. The weight of her words hung in the air. Silence enveloped them again, and Ethan felt the pressure of each breath he took. He glanced at Dina, who met his gaze. He could see determination flickering there, but the fear was still shadowed behind her eyes. Suddenly, the quiet was pierced by a loud crash outside, a garbage can clattering, its metal body echoing through the night. The group jumped, hearts racing. What was that? Mike whispered, panic lacing his voice. Ethan moved instinctively towards the door, glancing back at the others. Stay here. I'll check. No, Ethan, Dina protested, grabbing his arm. We're in this together. He hesitated, knowing she was right. Okay. Let us stay low and see what it is. They crept towards the door, hearts thudding in their chests. As they peeked outside, the moonlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the alleyway like a spotlight. Nothing seemed out of place, not a soul in sight, yet the air buzzed with tension. Ethan could feel the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. They were stepping into unknown territory, and the risks felt monumental. If we're going to do this, we need to be smart, he whispered. We need a solid plan. What if we split up? Megan suggested, her voice small. One group creates a distraction while the others grab the evidence. Kyle shook his head, worry etched on his face. But what if something goes wrong? If we split, we're going to be even more vulnerable. It's a risk we might have to take, Ethan said, the uncertainty swirling around him. We'll figure it out as we go. Thunder rumbled again, a reminder of the storm still raging outside, mirroring their emotions. They huddled together again, tightening the circle of trust that had formed amidst chaos. Each of them knew their lives could change with one wrong move. Ethan felt the urge to touch Dina, to offer her strength, but what he felt in that moment was a vulnerability that was unfamiliar to him. Whatever happens tonight, we'll face it together. I promise. Together, they echoed softly, but the word felt heavy with the weight of the unknown. The thought of dawn brought both hope and dread. What awaited them when the night finally surrendered to daylight? A sudden commotion broke through their thoughts, a voice, sharp and angry. Where are you? Show yourselves. They froze, heartbeats thundering in unison. A shadow shifted under the streetlight, and Ethan's stomach turned. Time's up, he whispered, determination rushing through him. As they readied themselves for what was to come, the unmistakable realization settled in: there was no turning back now. Would they become the heroes they longed to be, or would they be swallowed by the very darkness they sought to fight? And in that breathless moment, as they stepped towards their fate, Ethan couldn't shake one thought: they would have to confront not just the danger outside but the fear within. What awaited them at dawn was more than just a mission, it was about discovering who they really were. Would their courage be enough to hold their fractured lives together? As dawn broke, painting the sky with shades of burnt orange and soft violet, Ethan felt the weight of the world settling heavily on his shoulders. The storm had subsided, but the bittersweet taste of anticipation lingered in the air. He gathered his friends, all weary eyes reflecting the gravity of their mission. Today is the day, he declared, his voice steady yet filled with an urgency that could ignite their spirits. We either expose the truth or we lose everything we've fought for. Dina squeezed his hand, finding strength in their shared resolve. We've come this far. Together, we can face whatever comes our way. As they moved through the quiet streets towards the warehouse, the silence felt almost oppressive. The ghosts of doubt danced around them, but its chilling grip slowly loosened with each step. They were not alone. They had each other. Upon reaching the warehouse, Ethan took a deep breath, pushing open the door. It creaked, a warning of the uncertainty lying ahead. Inside, the lingering scent of mold and rust clung to them, but today, it felt different, charged, electric with the promise of change. Remember our plan, he whispered, gathering their eyes for a final rally. We create a diversion so Kyle and I can retrieve the evidence. If it gets tense, trust each other. We're stronger as a unit. His friends nodded, their expressions shifting from anxious to determined. They were more than just a group of childhood friends, they were a family united by purpose. As they infiltrated the dimly lit space, shadows danced on the walls, voicing unspoken fears. Ethan and Kyle swiftly moved to the back where the evidence lay hidden. The beat of their hearts echoed like a war drum, a reminder that they were not merely fighting for survival, but for their community's foundation. Meanwhile, Dina and Megan prepared the distraction, silently moving among the crates. "On my count," Dina whispered, her palms sweaty against the metal surface. 1, 2, 3. With a remarkable crash, boxes toppled over, shattering the silence. The noise reverberated through the warehouse like a cannon blast. "Go! Go!" Ethan urged as adrenaline coursed through him. As chaos erupted, Ethan and Kyle rushed toward the back room. "It's here!" Kyle exclaimed, staring wide-eyed at the stack of documents and photographs resting ominously on a grimy table. Each piece signaled betrayal, proof of collusion between the dealership and their town leaders. Just as they began to collect the evidence, a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face twisted with fury. It was the contact who had lured them in with whispers of hidden truth. "You shouldn't have come back," the figure hissed, a menacing presence that threatened to crush their will. Ethan's heart raced. "We're not backing down. You won't silence the truth." A maniacal grin spread across the figure's face, eyes darkening. "You think you can expose us? You're in over your heads." Suddenly, a commotion echoed from the front, Dina and Megan holding their ground against a group of menacing figures. "Run!" Megan shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos as she and Dina struggled against mounting pressure. Ethan's resolve solidified. "We stand together," he yelled. "Fight!" The two rushed out, rekindled with fierce determination, joining forces against the unknown adversary. Unwavering in his commitment to his friends and their cause, Ethan felt a surge of hope. The past couldn't define them, it was their actions that would carve their future. As fists connected, he witnessed his friends' courage ignite like wildfire. The strength of their bond shattered the fear that had shackled them. With a determined push, Kyle and Ethan managed to overcome the threatening figure, grabbing the evidence from the table. "We have what we need," Kyle shouted, urgency pulsating. "Let us go." The fierce battle surged onward, but the tides began to change. The group, weary but unyielding, turned the tables on their attackers as they navigated through the maze of boxes and shadows. Their united front began to weaken the opponent's resolve. Finally, tears of exhaustion filled Dina's eyes, but a smile broke through. "We're making it," she exclaimed as they dashed towards the exit, their shared determination flowing like an unbreakable current. Bursting into sunlight, they stumbled into freedom, panting and victorious. Collapsing against the cool brick of the warehouse, the weight of uncertainty slipped away. For the first time, they felt that something had truly changed. "We have the evidence," Ethan shouted, hope pouring from him as they breathed in the fresh morning air. "Together, we've done it." "I can't believe what we just achieved," Megan laughed, her voice ringing with joy mingled with disbelief. "And we're alive." As the sensation of triumph began to soak in, the bonds forged in fire now felt unbreakable. Ethan exchanged glances with Kyle, Dina, and Megan. Each smile mirrored the promise of a new future for the community they cherished. "Now, let us expose the truth," Ethan said with a fiery glare, determination glittering in his eyes. They would share their discoveries with the world, rallying the town to rise against corruption and injustice. Their fight had only just begun. With a unified sense of purpose and hope igniting their souls, they ventured toward the center of their town, ready to share their revelations with their neighbors, determined not just to defend their lives but breathe renewed vitality into their community. And as they walked, Ethan felt deeply the adrenaline from the fight had purged his fears. The stories of his grandfather shaped him, but it was this moment, this fight together, that sparked a blazing legacy of resilience and unity. This was their new beginning, the dawn of transformation, one they would create together. Now, this is your turn. Don't let this story linger in the silence. You need to subscribe now to our channel and witness the unfolding journey of heroes among us. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to fuel the algorithm. Comment below your reaction and thoughts about this ending. And for the love of stories, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to feel this powerful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your voice matters, and together we can inspire others to share their own story.